On a cold evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills of Galilee, Jesus walked quietly along a narrow road. The wind was harsh, and the sky carried the promise of rain. Along the path sat a small group of people, poor, tired, and forgotten by society. Among them was a widow holding her weak child, her eyes filled with fear and silent prayers. Most travelers passed by without stopping. Some looked away, unwilling to see the pain. But Jesus stopped. He knelt beside the child, whose body trembled from fever and hunger. The mother spoke through tears, "Lord, I have nothing left. I have prayed, I have waited, and now my hope is fading." Jesus looked at her with deep sympathy. His eyes did not judge, and his voice carried warmth. "Do not be afraid," he said gently. "Your tears have been seen." Jesus placed his hand on the child's head. The crowd grew silent. In that moment, compassion moved before miracle. Jesus did not rush. He felt their pain, shared their sorrow, and stood with them in their suffering. Slowly, the child's breathing became calm. Color returned to his face, and his eyes opened with strength. The mother fell to her knees, overwhelmed with gratitude. But Jesus lifted her up and said, "Stand strong. Love and faith will always be stronger than fear." Nearby, an old man watched. He had lost his sight years ago and lived alone, depending on scraps from strangers. Jesus walked toward him and asked, "What do you wish for?" The man replied, "Lord, I wish not only to see with my eyes, but to feel that I still matter." Jesus touched his face and said, "You have always mattered." In that moment, the man's eyes opened, not only to the world, but to hope. Tears of joy streamed down his face as he saw light again. As night fell, Jesus shared bread with the hungry and comforted the brokenhearted. He reminded everyone that kindness is not measured by wealth or power, but by how we treat the weakest among us. Before leaving, Jesus turned to the crowd and said, "When you show mercy to the suffering, you walk the path of God. When you help the helpless, you heal the world." The people stood changed, not just because of miracles, but because they witnessed true sympathy in action.